Glory. Hallelujah. Since I lay. Hallelujah. Since I lay my burden down. Glory. Hallelujah. Since I lay my burden down. Glory, glory. Hallelujah. Since I lay my burden down. Oh, what? I feel better. So much better. Since I laid my burden down, I feel better, so much better. Since I laid my burden down. Back to the top. Hey. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Since I laid my burden down. Since I laid it down. Since I laid my burden down. Since I laid my burden down. Amen. I feel so much better. Amen. Good morning, Union Church of Raleigh. Let's stand and celebrate today. We are the face of God, you know. You are the face of God. Stand and sing with us if you can. All right. Words are in your bulletin. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. It's love. You are the face of love.
the businesses in his neighborhood were being burgled. Lots of people were experiencing break-ins, and he was worried about his video production company. He had to do something to keep his business safe and sound. So, did he hire a security guard? No. Did he install an alarm system? No. Did he add extra lighting? No. Instead, Ron bought a large rubber tarantula. It was big, it was black, it had 8 legs, it even had those very lifelike looking hairs, and it had some killer fangs. And every night before Ron would leave his business, he would put that huge rubber spider in his foyer right there by the main doors, very visible through the windows and the pane in the door. And he would also put a little bowl of cat food, dry kibble, and he would sprinkle just a little bit of kibble outside the bowl. And every night he would move the tarantula just a little bit to a different position, and he would dribble the kibble at a different place. This is so funny. And before he left, he would turn on a lamp, and it would cast this pale glow, just illuminate this big spider and that dribble of food, and on the table this cute little sign that said spider crossing. Now, Ron's business was safe and sound for years. Right and left, people were being broken into, stuff was happening, never with his business. All was well. Now, it was all because of that gigantic rubber tarantula. For the criminals, seeing was believing. They weren't going to break in there, not with that thing waiting for them. Now, unity teaches us the exact opposite. Unity teaches us believing is seeing. Now, Ron believed that he could have a safe and secure workplace. So, imagination created safety in a dangerous situation. And imagination created confidence in a time of uncertainty. And imagination created well-being in a place of fear. And it worked. And we can do the same. So today, no matter what is happening to us or through us, we decide to not let anything disturb us. Nothing can disturb us. Today, we decide to stop creating a state of mind that gives anyone and anything power over us. Today, we stop believing that we are a victim of anything, and instead we use our great big beautiful imaginations to create a mindset that constantly reassures us, constantly, that we are always safe, we are always protected, we are always guided, and that God is with us and in us and for us. And so today we light our Christ candle for Isaiah 54:7. No weapon fashioned against you shall prosper. Wow. And we affirm God's protecting presence and power are at work in my life right now. I rest in the knowledge of the truth that nothing can harm or disturb me. So good morning. I greet you in the name of Jesus Christ and in the warm and loving spirit of Unity Church of Raleigh. In unity, we welcome all people and honor the God of your understanding. We bless all churches and spiritual groups throughout the world because we know we are all sons and daughters of the same loving Creator. So we welcome everybody. We also welcome everyone who is watching us on their device. Thank you for joining us. You honor us with your presence. Be sure to like us and share us. My name is Melanie. I'm your platform leader today, and our musicians are Greg and Nisha, Susan, Alan, and Peggy, and our speaker today is our beloved senior minister, Reverend Beverly Bockover. And so now let's stand and say together our statement of faith, which you can find on the inside front cover of your bulletin. Together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life and affairs, God the good. With that, let's walk around the room and say good morning to each other. Good morning. You may be seated. So we always begin our announcements with gratitude. And today I'm grateful for rites of passage. It is graduation weekend, and we have 4 teenagers who have been a part of our community for a long, long time who have graduated from high school. And these 4 folks are Emily and Tommy Dirth, and there's Laura back there, and Emily, I think, has wandered. I don't see her, but she's wandering. Emily and Tommy, Austin Reese, and Callista's son, and Casey Knight, Aaron's daughter. And Rice, geez, sorry, Callista, duh, I know that. Anyway, so Austin graduated from Cardinal Gibbons High School on May 26th, and he's attending Ohio State. What? Ohio State, awesome. To study engineering. Tommy Dirth, one of the twins, one of our beloved twins. Tommy, son of Laura and Steve Dirth, will be attending NC State University to study engineering. Emily, there she is. Emily, wave. We're so happy for you. Emily, also daughter of Laura and Steve, and one of our beloved building coordinators. She will be attending Wake Community College. Wake, that's right, Wake. And her passion is library science and small animals. So we have a lot in common with that library stuff and books. And Casey, daughter of Aaron, she will be attending App. And you know what happens when people go to Appalachian? They become an Appalachian person forever. So congratulations to you folks. And we have cute little mugs. Oh gosh, yeah, and Aaron is they're gone. Now they can go get great educations, great jobs, and support their parents in the fashion to which they should become accustomed, right? That's my belief. We have some mugs up here. You can tell the girls' mugs, it says, "You go, girl." But we have mugs with little flowers in them just for you, for your kids, but also to you parents who have done such a wonderful job of holding the high watch for getting these people. Laura, oh my goodness, I remember sitting at UCR with you, Laura, pregnant with twins, and here they are, this huge rite of passage. So anyway, be sure to come up and get your mug and your flowers for your kids. And again, just congratulations and all of our love for these high school graduates. This is thrilling. And today's flowers are sponsored, and they are sponsored and given to Aaron Knight. Aaron, these are for you, to thank you for your years of board service, for what you have done for this church and holding the high watch for us. We know that being on the board is an amazing, amazing experience. And just thank you for bringing your very best self to this church and for this experience. And Mary Butler and Diane Evans sponsor these for you. So this local farmer, this bouquet from a farmer, is for you to take home and enjoy. So applause for Aaron. So much Thanksgiving. Great. We'd also like to welcome any guests we have with us today. Thank you so much for being with us. You honor us with your presence, so we're glad you're here. And I also want to give a shout out to Denise. She was a guest last week. We love it when you come back a second time. And Denise is here for the second time, so yay! Hey, Denise. She's waving back there. Hurrah. So now why don't we invite our kids to go have a great day in Sunday school. So today after the service, it's our second Sunday Unity Cafe with Rev Bev. Anything you want to know about Unity, what we believe, what we do, just how we walk this world, here she is. And last time, Bev, y'all met over here, so y'all will be gathering over here. Grab your hospitality and just come join Bev for this fun experience. Today, the fundraising team is meeting over in Adult Ed after the service. We are going to be completing on the homecoming event from last weekend. That was so fun. So those of us on the team, and if you want to join that team, come in there with us. We have a First Sunday sticker survey. We didn't do it last week because it was just a lot. We had homecoming and the annual meeting and membership things. So put as many stickers as you like this time. And the survey is about what's important to you at church. So it asks questions like, what's really important? Is it the hospitality after the service? Is it Sunday workshops? Is it the music? Just what do you love about UCR? What's important to you? Put as many stickers as you like, and we'll report it next week and put it in the bulletin. Bev's class meets Wednesday night at 7:30 here. The men's group meets Saturday here at 9 o'clock. Y'all come on out. We're collecting loose change for Cool for Wake, though today it's pretty nice. But we're collecting to buy fans for vulnerable families who need them. And we are collecting peanut butter and jelly and other kinds of easy to open, easy to eat food for the food bank for the summer lunch program. And of course, we always have our full chair takedown. Just these. The chairs around the table can stay, but the middle chairs will go after the service. So why don't we now prepare for the peace and refreshment of meditation with Rev Bev by singing the song In the Silence.
And so for a time, let's enter into that silent place where we feel the presence, the power, the peace, the love, and the glory of God. We know there is no place we can ever be that God is not. We know that we live, move, and have our being in the pure opulence of God every moment of every day. Just think about that for a moment. We live and move and have our being in the pure opulence of God every moment of every day. Let your imagination play with that. Imagine that you are living and moving and having your being in all potentiality. That you are experiencing all that God is. And because there is no place you can ever be that God is not, you can imagine yourself being anywhere, doing anything you want to do, experiencing anything you want to experience, and God is there. How amazing is that for us to know? And so we recognize that we are divine children of God, sons and daughters of the Most High, living our lives from center to circumference and feeling that divine light of spirit within us. Just feel that, the divine light of spirit within you. It is a peaceful thing. It is a loving thing. It is a opulent, abundant, whole, healthy thing. And as you feel that light within you, feel it radiate through every atom and every cell of your being. If there's something that is a little difficult at the moment, imagine every atom and every cell of your being responding in a youthful, exuberant vitality that moves you easily, simply, and gently. And as this light that you are moves through the atoms and cells of your being, it moves into the space. Moves into this space and surrounds everyone here in our divine embrace of spirit. Surrounds each person in light, in love, wisdom, opulence, joy, all the good that God is. And feel that divine embrace of spirit, blessing all of our friends and family that are with us today, all of our friends and family who aren't with us today, and all of our friends and family who haven't found us yet but will. And so we fill this room with light and peace, joy, love, wholeness, kindness, compassion. And with every breath we take, we go deeper into this presence of God. And so for a time, we rest in this light, in the silence, in the silence. And if there's someone that you would like to bring into this light energy at this time, just feel free to speak their names either silently or aloud, knowing that we are embracing them in love. Linda, Anthony, Kristen, Brandon, and as we speak these names, either silently or aloud, we see the divine light. We see the divine essence of each person. We look beyond the situation, circumstance, and condition, and we see that point of God expressing. And we see that light far greater than any obstacle, far greater than any limitation, is this light of God. And as we embrace this light, we move beyond the boundaries of this building, out into this community, this country, and around this earth. And as we look upon this earth, so many things are happening. But we know within the midst of all things, God is. And we focus on that presence of God, moving to make all things right. And then we let it go, knowing that infinite intelligence knows what to do. Omniscient wisdom knows how to do it, and omnipotent love does it very simply, very gently, and very easily. Father, Mother God, we are grateful for this opportunity to be together, to share together, to celebrate our oneness of spirit together, to feel your presence and your power, to know the truth that sets us free. We thank you for everyone here. We thank you for everyone on this planet. We thank you for the life that we are given, and we are blessed. And now just take a few deep breaths, and as you do, become aware of your bodies and each other and this place. And when you're ready, just slowly open your eyes, knowing that this is a sacred moment, and this is holy ground. And so it is. Amen and Amen.
There's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and this world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No greed or hunger. A brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people living someday you'll join us and this world will live as one. We as one.
Amen. Amen.
That sure was pretty. Thank you, Nisha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning. Not bad. I imagined that was the way it was going to go today. Today we're going to talk about imagination. Now, last week was our 12 Power Sunday on imagination, but I had so many people come up to me after the service and ask if I would talk a little bit more about it. So I figure for the month of June, we'll talk about imagination and then start a new series in July. But there's so many aspects and so many things that we can reach out to when we think about imagination. It's hard to just pick one and end there without expanding exactly what's going on and what we begin to know and realize about the imagination. Now, the imagination is, when we think about it, imagination is for us to realize that there are infinite possibilities. And when we realize that there are infinite possibilities and we use our imagination to mold this essence or this ether, mold it into what it is that we want to experience, we could experience and do anything. It's just somewhere along the line we decided to stop doing that. We decided to live within limitations, and we use that imagination and that great tool that we have to create the walls and the boundaries around us that we live within. Until finally one day we go, I can't live within these boundaries anymore, and we start pushing at the walls. That doesn't usually feel very good, but we do. We start pushing at the walls, and we expand our boundaries. And we use our imagination to keep us still boxed in. And what we want to use is our imagination to set us free. Einstein said that your imagination is your preview of life's coming attractions. It's a preview of your life's coming attractions. When you think about that, and you think about what you're imagining on a day-to-day basis, is it the kind of life that you would want to imagine? Is it the kind of experience that you would like to have? Is it the kind of environment that you would like to spend your time and energy in? So we're going to take a look at that and several other aspects and some things from the Bible that talk about imagination. But first, Satan decided to make an appearance before a small church in a small town congregation. And when everybody realized that it was Satan standing up at the podium, they started screaming and running for the doors, and they were trampling each other, and they were knocking each other down. And finally, when the chaos was all over, there was just this one man who was still sitting there. And Satan went up to the man, and he said, "Don't you know who I am?" And you can imagine this big booming Satan voice. "Don't you know who I am?" And the man said, "Yep, sure do." And then Satan said to the man, "Aren't you going to run?" The man said, "Nope, sure ain't." Satan asked, "Why aren't you afraid of me?" The man answered, "'Cause I've been married to your sister for over 48 years. That's a good one. So, I saw that. That's why you two need not sit together. Pat just gave Andy one of these. And so, speaking of imagination, Okay, so we use our imagination in ways that limit us rather than expand us. And again, as Albert Einstein said, your imagination is your preview of life's coming attractions. So there was a king. I told this story to you before, but it's one well worth retelling. King who had a crippled son. In fact, the young man was so crippled that people didn't think that he was going to live to be very old. And it was time for the boy's birthday, and the king went into his room to see what the boy wanted for a gift. And the boy thought about it for a while, and he said that what he wanted was a statue made of himself, placed in the garden outside his window. Well, the king looked kind of surprised, because why would he want a picture of himself as a crippled young man outside his window? And the young man realized what he was, kind of taken aback, why he was feeling the way he was feeling. And the boy said, I don't want a statue of myself as I am. I want a statue of myself as I can be. And so he wanted himself to be tall and straight and walking and moving as if everything was okay. So the king got his best sculptors on it, and they sculpted out this young man standing tall and standing straight and being comfortable in who he was. And on his birthday, the king said, well, look out your window. And they took off the covering, and there he was standing there. And every day, the young man would look out the window. He couldn't sit up because he was so crippled, but he would look out the window. And then about a month passed, and he found himself sitting up. And he'd look out the window. A couple more months passed, and he was not only looking out the window, but he was sitting in a chair looking out the window. And then several more months passed, and the young man was in a wheelchair, and he was out in the garden with a statue, and he could get himself out there. And a year or so passed, and the young man was out in the garden walking, straight and tall, just like the statue. See, what we always want to do is we want to look at the possibilities of what it is that we want to experience, rather than looking at all the possibilities of what we can't have or what we can't experience. In 1950, Napoleon Hill wrote, "The imagination is literally the workshop wherein are fashioned all plans created by man." So whatever plans we have, whatever things that we're working on, whatever things we would like to experience, we use our imagination to create them. We use our imagination to bring them into being. And so here was this young man who could now walk. Samuel Palmer, who was a landscape painter and writer in the 1800s, said a picture is a something between a thought and a thing. A picture is the thing, something between a thought and a thing. The marvelous power of imagination, the imaging power. It has the creative impact on our lives, and we can see it in these examples, right? We can see how it works. Now, how many of us use our imagination the way we did when we were children? Maybe every now and then, right? When we were children, I know I would be Superwoman, and I would put on a towel, and I would have it safety pinned to my pajamas, and I'd climb up the stairs, and I'd just jump off the top of the stairs. I would know that I would be okay, and sure enough, once I jumped off the top of the stairs, here would come my mother walking along the bottom of the stairs, and she'd always catch me or got knocked over by me. But, it was one of those things where I just knew it would be okay. When I was young, I used to chase rainbows from crystals. You ever do that? And I've told you this before. Dancing Moon was in a house on a side street for a while, and we had all these crystals hanging in the windows. And one day I was by myself, and the crystals were hanging in the windows, and I looked at the rainbows that were all over the room. And so I went over and I jumped on one. I just jumped on it, and all of a sudden it was no longer under my foot, it was on top of my foot. How cool was that, right? And then I went over, there was one on the counter, I went, and I tried to catch it, and I couldn't, because now it was on top of my hand. And I was running all over the store trying to catch the rainbows, and I was having the best time, and I was laughing. And then I went to catch another one, and I jumped in the air, and I turned around, and there was a customer standing there, and I said, "Yes, may I help you?" Completely took away that desire to play. Right? Completely took away that energy to have fun and to feel that presence. How often do we deprive ourselves of that experience? Wednesday nights after class, I know Greg and Cherry are going to love me bringing this one up, but Wednesday night after class, Greg is the Uber driver for Cherry and I, and about maybe 5 or 10 minutes from when we get into our neighborhood, I come up with a song out of nowhere. And I'll start singing it at the top of my lungs. I'll make up songs. I'll come up with songs from the 20s or 30s. But it's like, let me just sing, okay? Let me just have that experience. And I think I'm learning that from our granddaughter, because that's what she does. She's like out there. When they were here for the Hearts and Unity dinner, it was getting kind of late, and Abby's dad was holding her, and she was crying because she was so tired. She'd been running around, I think, for 3 straight hours. We determined, Mel, wasn't it something like that? She just ran around for all that time, and she played with Kennedy, and she just had a great old time for herself, and she's crying, and she's tired, and she looked at her father. She said, "Dad, I'm so tired." And then came the hand. She said, "But I must dance." How often do we stop with, "I'm so tired," and that's the end of it. And then we get grouchy and we want to go home and we're unhappy and everything doesn't feel good. And yet there is that part of us that still remembers those moments of freedom, that remember those moments of just this wild abandon that we feel. So our imagination is that key that helps us do that. When we read in the Bible, in the Old Testament, we have more stories about imagination than we do in the New Testament. In the New Testament, Jesus pretty much says, pay attention to your heart, which is your subconscious. Pay attention to that because that's what's going to be your experience. In the Old Testament, there are lots of stories about imagination. And one that is really profound in terms of how this works was, y'all remember Jacob and Esau? And Jacob stole Esau's birthright and then had to run away from home because he did that. And so there he is. And he's in this country with his uncle Laban. And Uncle Laban is just as shady as Jacob, and he took just as much advantage as Jacob did. So there's Jacob and Laban. And Jacob fell in love with Laban's daughter. And he went, "Uncle Laban, I want to marry your daughter." And he said, I think it was Rebecca, that's who he wanted to marry. And Laban said, "Well, work for me for 7 years and you can marry her." Well, she was not the oldest daughter. So when 7 years passed, here's Jacob thinking he's going to wind up with the wife of his dreams. And so he woke up the next day in their tent and found out that he was with the oldest daughter instead of the daughter that he wanted. So he went to Uncle Laban. He said, "Uncle Laban, I want to marry this daughter." And Uncle Laban said, "Well, work for me for 7 more years and you can marry her." Well, 7 years passed, and yes, he was able to marry her. And then 7 more years came, and he said, "Uncle Laban, I want to leave. I want to go back from where I came. I want to make amends with my brother. I want to get everything right. I want to fix it." And Laban says, "Okay, you can take with you for all the work that you've done, all the speckled, spotted, and striped sheep." And Jacob thought that was a fair deal. So they agreed to that. And that night, before Jacob was going to leave, Uncle Laban goes through and takes away all the speckled, spotted, and striped sheep that were healthy. So here's Jacob. Laban got him again. You know, it's sort of like that karmic debt is being repaid over and over and over. So there's Jacob. What does he do? He cuts some branches and he peels them so they look speckled, spotted, and striped. And he put these branches in front of the sheep where they would mate, which was where their water trough was. And so he put them in front of the speckled, spotted, and striped sheep. And so when they gave birth, even though they were white sheep or black sheep, when they gave birth, all the sheep were speckled, spotted, and striped. The whole story is about imagination. It's about what image can we hold in front of us? What image can we keep so that we can then have it manifest in our world? Jacob knew how to do that. Okay. And he kept this image in front of these sheep until the time came for them to give birth. And of course he left, and then there's a whole bunch of other stories on his way back to Esau. But the thing to remember is that what are we holding in our vision? What are we seeing in front of us? Are we seeing what it is that we would really like to experience, or are we seeing those things that help us maintain our limitations? And that's a choice that we all make. We can keep our limitations, or we can begin to change them. And so that's the important part of imagination for us, is to be able to realize that. Now, Gandhi was talking to somebody about gaining independence from India, from Britain, without any violence, without any weapons, and he was told that that was impossible. How many of you have ever had something really big in your life that you wanted to do or experience, and you were told, well, that's impossible? Did you start using your imagination to form all the reasons that made it impossible? Or did you use your imagination to see it through, to get to the other side? So he told him that that was impossible, that it's never happened. There's never been a country that has gained independence for themselves without any violence. And Gandhi said that's one of the mistakes we have ever made, is to assume that just because something has never happened before, that it can't happen now. He kept that focus. He kept that vision. He kept looking in front of him, and he held, no matter what anybody told him, that they could be free without violence, and which is what he pretty much accomplished. There's another story about the Denver Zoo, and the Denver Zoo was building a compound for bears, but they happened to get a bear sooner than what they had anticipated. So they got this one bear, and they had to put him in a cage that was maybe 3.5 feet around, and the bear would walk all the time from one end of the cage, put his paws up, then put his paws down, the other end of the cage, put his paws up, put his paws down. And he did that for like 4 months until they finished his compound. So they finished his compound, they got the bear, and they transferred him to the cage to the compound. And once the bear was in the compound, he walked 3.5 feet, put his paws up, put his paws down, and went back until he re-visioned, reimagined, re-imaged his environment. How often have we put ourselves in those little cages, and then when we get out of them, we're still walking in the same space? When we have all of this other to look at, when we have all this other to experience. Our imagination is an amazing tool, and it's one of those things where we want to start playing with it, start using it in a way that will benefit us. Start using it in a way that will get us to the place we want to go. I think it was last weekend, maybe last Sunday, or the Sunday before. Usually after church and after everything's done, we go home and get into our Snuggies, and we sit in front of the TV and fall asleep during golf. Even though we really want to watch golf, we fall asleep every time in front of golf. And then maybe wake up at the end of it. Well, I did happen to wake up at the end of this one particular tournament, and the guy that won said, "This is what I did." He said, "Before I started the game, I looked up at the board, and he said, I envisioned writing my name in the number 1 spot. And he said, I could see myself write my name." And he said, "And I won." How often do we stop to see ourselves writing our name in that number 1 spot, or getting that perfect job, or having that perfect experience? How often do we take the time to do that? So this week, some starters for you to think about with imagination, to allow yourself the opportunity to use your imagination in other ways. You don't have to go outside and do anything. You don't have to use your imagination and run out and do it. You use your imagination until you create the consciousness that can accept the thing that you want. So how often do we do that, and can we do that? This is your homework for the week. See what you can create, see what you can do, see what you can experience, just a little bit at a time. Small bites, small chunks, and see where you wind up at the end of the week. God bless you. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, so today we're going to recreate a song and a scene from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Hold your breath, make a wish, count to 3. Come with me, in a world of your imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with the spin, traveling in a world of my imagination. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. You can change the world. There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it, you can change the world. There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Way to go, Susan. Well, after having 2 hip replacement surgeries in the past year, to come out and do a somersault is impressive. Most definitely. Let's prepare now for our offering by singing I See Abundance Everywhere. And in just a moment, our ushers will be receiving our offering. But before they do, as always, I like to give thanks. I want to give thanks in particular to all of you for our Super Sunday last Sunday. As of right now, if I can get this to work, the Goracle. As of right now, with what we received on Sunday plus the matching gift, it comes to $15,594. So thank you all for making that such a wonderful Super Sunday and for blessing this church. We are so very grateful. Let's take our offerings in our hands and bless them as gifts of divine love. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am and have and all that I give and receive. Together, please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am and have and all that I give and receive. And so it is. Amen.
I used to think the world owed me a living back in the day. I used to stumble over every little thing that got in my way. Thought I was too far gone, couldn't see the forest for the trees. Been away for too long, then something came over me. Imagine that. Imagine that. Rocking the boat was just a way of life. So what can I say? But times change like the rolling tide, and now the good times are here to stay. Thought I was too far gone, my perception of life was skewed. Seemed like it took so long to find out what was really true.
Imagine that.
Hey, imagine that. Hey. Imagine that. But it is what it is. That ship has sailed and it's out to sea. All I had to do was imagine all the possibilities. Now I'm cruising over waves, all out on the open seas. My destination full speed ahead. I imagine my life the way I want it to be. I'm on board, I'm not over my head. Oh no, I'm not too far gone. I'm loving every breath I breathe. Yeah, there's always one more song and another trick up my sleeve. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that. Oh, imagine that.
Yeah.
So it works better if you have it plugged in. Imagine that.
Well, you know.
Yeah, okay. Father, Mother God, we're grateful for these gifts that enter this ministry, blessing and prospering this place. We bless the gift and the giver, knowing that they are one and the same and all one with you. We thank you, Father, Mother God, and so it is. Amen and amen. Now let's stand and welcome our kids back by singing We Are Walking in the Light. Everybody? Yes. All right, we got everybody. Did you have a good day? Absolutely, huh? Cool. Let's bless our kids. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Together, please. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. And we love, bless, and appreciate all of you also. Thank you for being here. Just a couple reminders, the cafe, grab something to eat and meet me at those tables over there on my left. Class Wednesday night, men's group Saturday. Al, your sticker survey, you have a class coming up? Yes. Yes, in 2 weeks? Okay. Al's class will be 2 weeks on Sunday. Today. Youth meeting today, fundraising meeting today in the adult education room. I think that covers all the bases, I think. If not, I'll find out about it afterwards. So let's remember as we leave here today that the light of God surrounds us.
The light of God surrounds us.
The love of God enfolds us.
The love of God enfolds us.
The power of God protects us.
The power of God protects us.
The presence of God watches over us.
The presence of God watches over us.
And wherever we are, God is.
Wherever we are, God is.
And all is well.
And all is well.
And now let's join hands and sing, Yes, There Is Peace.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
Mother God, how grateful we are to know that as we use this wonderful gift that we have been given, our imagination, we can create whatever world we want to live in. We can break through all the boundaries and limitations, and we can truly express the truth of our being. We thank you for this understanding and this awareness, and so it is. Namaste.
Very good.
Good job, Rich.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't he just like a friend of mine? She hit me from behind. Guess I'm gone to Carolina in mind. Karen, she's the silver sun, the best walker